Welcome back to The Exchange, the podcast about buying, selling, and building law firms. I'm your host, Tom Lenfestey, and today's episode is truly one I've been looking forward to, a good friend of mine. Most law firm owners tend to think about marketing the same way they think about their website. Spend a little bit of money, it's an expense, update it every once in a while, and hopefully it brings in some cases and new clients. My guest today sees marketing differently. He sees it as a valuation lever. Truly something that can move the needle in law firm valuation. And so we've had great conversations in the past, and I'm really excited to welcome back Sasha Berson. Sasha is the co-founder and managing partner of Grow Law Firm, a Forbes contributor, co-author of Success Economics with Steve Forbes. Pretty impressive, Sasha, pretty impressive. And the host of the Grow the Law Firm podcast, the GLF podcast. Sasha, welcome to The Exchange.
Hey, thanks so much for the warm intro, Tom. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate being here.
Absolutely. And so, Sasha, you and I have talked about this a little bit on air in your podcast and otherwise, but you went from a different world, really from a lending world to where you've shared pretty openly that you really looked, invested in, and went to what I would argue now is one of the most well-known law firm marketing companies out there. What does that arc look like? How did you go from that point in the past to where you are today?
Yeah. So my maternal grandpa, was an entrepreneur. Back in the Soviet days, as impossible as it was, he was an entrepreneur. He had multiple side hustles. And I learned a little bit from him. And from early age, I knew that one day I'm going to own my own business. And I started my journey in entrepreneurship at the right age of 13, was making really decent money by the time 14, 15. Then I moved to the United States, the land of opportunity. No opportunity for a 15-year-old back in the mid-90s. So worked retail, but always knew that I wanted to start my own business. While I was still in college, a buddy of mine and I, we decided to start a mortgage company, as I already spent a couple of years in the industry. His mom worked in the industry. We started that thing off. We worked on it for a few years. I'm beginning to really dislike the business. He's loving the business, and we're growing it fast, really fast. In 2009, I sold it to him. It was an 8-figure company by then. It went on to be 15th largest lender by a certain point, and a few years later. I cannot claim the fame of building it up to that level. He did. It was a behemoth of a company. But something that I learned very early on in my entrepreneurial journey was that my fortune squarely depended on performance of my marketing team. Poor marketing performance, poor revenue, poor profitability, everything worked clanky. It wasn't good. And so I decided that one day I'm going to start a marketing company. And some years later, after I sold my first business, I already had 2 other startups. One went well, one didn't. There came an opportunity to buy this thing, and I bought it. I joined the company back January 3rd, 2018. It was a smaller outfit with way less revenue and no profit to speak of. And today, 8.5 years later, it's valued at 17x of what it was 8.5 years ago. It's going really well. We do right by our clients. I absolutely love the game of marketing. It's absolutely challenging, and it's becoming even more challenging with every passing year. Now with every passing quarter, with the AI taking a permanent hold on the marketing landscape, but I absolutely love it because the value that we create for our clients, whether they're looking to sell their law firms in the next year or two, or never even thinking about it, the value that we add to them is absolutely tremendous.
And Sasha, it's amazing. I just love the fact of, starting this mortgage, the lending business in college, right? The entrepreneurial drive, everything that comes with that. And then, you kind of pivoted, but it's pivoted about what you had learned or knew. Right? Like you knew marketing was the key to, helping businesses be successful in so many ways. What did you see that really made you think like we can help?
So multiple reasons. One is very self-serving. It is a good market to participate in. Our clients' average transaction is at least $5,000. It's very rare that we have a client whose average case value is under $5,000. Do we have them? Yes, it's rare. Most of them $5,000 or greater. Because of that, they value the deliverables that we produce for them, those warm or semi-warm qualified leads that they convert into that business, that they convert into that revenue, that they convert into that profit. On the other hand, that's less self-serving. I found it very interesting that, as is the case with most other businesses, the founders of law firms are very skilled in their trade. They have a tremendous legal acumen and tremendously poor business acumen. So part of what we do is not just marketing, but we also deliver education to them. And now we also deliver advisory to them to help them improve that business acumen. Because once you have a better business acumen, you will have a better business. And with better business, for most of us, we have better lives. So there is a tremendous positive impact that we deliver to our clients. And when I was in the mortgage business, the impact that we delivered to our clients was minuscule, and anyone could do it.
Right.
It's a mortgage, conventional, subprime, whatever it was, like it's a mortgage. You do underwriting correctly, you get it done. With marketing, where it's very complex, most marketing companies do not do it right. And we're not perfect, but we do it way better than overwhelming majority of other players in the marketplace. So it's very rewarding to be in the space, and our clients appreciate us very, very much.
I think the biggest thing, Sasha, that you just shared, and again, kind of the reputation for your company, is that you do help advise on the other side, right? It's why are we spending on marketing here, but also what does it mean as a business model, right? Like, how is it going to impact you? How do you see that? How do you talk to lawyers about, marketing as truly an impact on their value today, tomorrow, and going forward?
Yeah, I think that for most law firm owner operators, misunderstanding marketing and intake value is tragic. And I'm not being overly dramatic. It's tragic because it costs them and their families tremendous amount of money that could be channeled into their kids' education, better vacations, better homes, being more charitable, doing so many other things. But because there is no strategic understanding of the value that marketing and properly done intake create, and they go hand in hand. I will never say marketing is where it is or intake is where it is. They both need to work. It's like you want to have a healthy heart and a healthy liver. Like if you have a healthy heart, but your liver is failing, it's great that you have a healthy heart, you're dying, and vice versa. Both have to work incredibly well. So when I work with law firm owners, I teach number of online trainings or webinars every single year. I always tell them, like, understanding your business is akin to, or understanding your business structure is akin to a doctor understanding anatomy. You have to understand anatomy of your business. You only have 6 major components to it. You have your marketing that promotes whatever it is you do and attract some future clients. A lot of people who are going to come through the door, they're not going to be your clients. But a marketing component is mission critical because it's the first step in your business. No marketing, no business. Then it's intake, then it's operations, actually delivery of the service that marketing promised or marketing promoted, intake promised. And then you have HR, having the right people in the right seats, doing the right things at the right times without you constantly nagging on them, and having leadership, making sure that you have goals and plans to achieve all of them. And then there's finance, just 6 components. But if you misunderstand or do not value one of them, it's like, hey, I run, but I also drink heavily. Like my heart is healthy, my liver will fail. Like you have to cannot just be focused on practicing law. Somebody has to be a CEO who really understands how marketing works, because when it works well, your business is a lot more valuable. And when it comes to selling your business, and all of us are going to exit our business at one point, either by design or by default, and you want to exit by design, if you understand how your marketing works and you can explain it to a prospective buyer, your business is that much more valuable rather than everything is by referral. Or we're spending some money, not sure what the ROI is. Yep. Do I want to buy a law firm like that? No, it's completely owner dependent. There's no value. I'll just buy your pipeline. That's it. Not the firm, just the pipeline.
That's it. And I think, the part, just to sum up kind of your components, it surprises some of our law firm owners when we go to build out our financial models to present to buyers, right? Sasha, that it starts with marketing and then it goes to intake and then it goes to operations, right? Because you're really looking at that as that business model. One of the things I wanted to ask you, which I think is a big thing that we see and I would imagine you see as well, is owner dependence sometimes becomes in the form of control, right? As lawyers, right? I'm one of them, whatever else, we like control. When does that owner dependence and that control aspect really get in the way? Have you seen that? I'm sure you probably have, but stories of where those owners have kind of encountered it, wanted to know everything about marketing, but really couldn't get to the point of letting go to scale and to really do the right things versus those that can.
I think when it comes to most small law firm owners, and when I say small, let's tag it under $10 million. Unless they're quickly scaling, most of them feel like they have to have this grip on every decision of any value in their law firms. And the problem with that is that when you couple relatively low business acumen with I have to make every decision, it's a recipe for staying very, very small and owner dependent. This is why when you look at this industry, overwhelming majority of law firms will get stuck at $3 million in revenue or less. This is the ceiling that most operators with relatively low business acumen and relatively high desire to control everything will get to, because this is where you can get to with a lot of hard work and some talent, but beyond that, you're not going to be able to push through. So developing that business acumen and letting go is of paramount importance. And as we talked about this before, if you can't let it go, if you always have to be in control, who's going to buy your law firm for anything other than the pipeline? I don't want it. You don't want it. Private equity doesn't want it. They do not want to have your job.
So how have you worked with law firm owners that maybe that when they came to you, they were that, right? Because most law firm owners, they're just used to controlling their kingdom, right? Their fiefdom otherwise. How have you worked with them to show them the value of letting go? And kind of that story of that second stage to do that?
That's a question that I have never been asked. So let me carefully think about the answer. So I'm going to split all of our clients into 3 camps. There's one camp that will listen, but continue doing the way that they have always done things. Maybe there will be an event in their business or in their personal lives that will change them. But as of now, and for past years and years, that's how they've operated. That's how they operate. And that's how, unless something dramatically changes for them, that's how they will continue to operate. Then there's those who listen and understand. And at some point, they're aiming to make the change. It just takes a while to actually get to the point where I get it. And then there are 4 camps. Then there are those who, once they see solid performance from their marketing company, which today, in an ultra competitive world, if you come to us and your state of SEO and GEO, search engine optimization, and generative engine optimization, which is a fancy way of saying AI optimization, do you show up in ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini? If their state of affairs across those two things is mediocre or below mediocre, subpar, it will take a really strong marketing team quarters, not months, quarters, to get to actually where you see solid performance. But once they start seeing that performance, month after month after month, by the way, when I say quarters, I mean, sometimes it's well over a year.
Sure.
Some prospects come to us and we're next 12 months are going to be foundational. Your things are in such poor state of affairs and you have such strong competitors, it will take over a year to get you to where you're in competitive shape. It's akin to a guy comes to you and he's I want to run a marathon, but currently I'm 320 pounds, 5'8". Well, let's start working on it, but it's not going to be a couple of months. So once they start seeing that solid performance, however long it takes, they're oh, these people actually know what they're doing. And we always advise them, have a lieutenant who is running your marketing for you internally, a marketing director, someone who understands marketing. Let it go. Let this person once a month or once a week, however you want, present you the results. We invested $12,000 over past 30 days. We got 300 leads. 140 of them were disqualified. 160 were qualified. We converted out of that 160, 50 leads. We're projecting to generate this much revenue off of those signed engagement letters. What else do you want to know? Nothing. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I think, it's amazing when you see that of the letting go. And I love the fact that you asked for that lieutenant, right? For somebody to do it, because you're actually asking them to give up a little bit of control to start, right? Give up a little bit now, invest in the long term, right? So one of the things that you were mentioning is kind of just, looking at different AI, search now. I just wanted to talk about what's changing in 26. You guys from the marketing side, there's a lot changing and a lot of questions from law firm owners about everything about AI impact. What are you seeing, change really from a marketing side that you're discussing with, your clients about, or law firm owners, or that they should be aware of?
Yeah, it's actually pretty basic. I think people tend to overcomplicate things when they talk about AI. AI is just a new thing. In 1996, nobody talked about Google. And if you were running a successful law firm, and if you were in the PI space, you had big ads in yellow pages, and you had a few billboards around town. And if you were really smart, you would go out there and you'd be a rainmaker, or maybe you'd have somebody else on your team, one of your partners, be a rainmaker. That's it. That was the client attraction formula. Then came Google, and then came Google advertising, and things started evolving. And if you stayed in yellow pages only, you were in trouble. AI is kind of just a new thing.
Right.
This is now where prospective clients go to look up lawyers. They didn't get rid of Google. They still go to Google en masse. In fact, we see this behavior where people will go to AI, search something up, then they end up on the website looking at reviews, going back to Google, looking at reviews, back and forth, and then they call you or fill out a form on your website. It's just a new way to search for a lawyer. One thing that did change that doesn't have very much to do with advertising or marketing. It's the preparation level that a lot of prospects have today. Before, you had to put in serious time to learn about the type of case that you have, possible remedies, solutions, whatever it may be. Today, you can do it in such a natural way with your phone. Say, like, 47 years old, I own a business, I own a house, I have these liabilities, I need to put together an estate plan. Like, how would you do it? I have this many kids, this one is this many, and like this thing. And for those of you who are listening to this and not watching this thing will give you a lot of answers. So prepare that a prospect may come to you almost ready to sign up. Prospects may be significantly more educated today than they were 3 years ago, 2023. Like, we see that. We see way less traffic going to websites today than we did 2 years ago. We do not see fewer leads. We see higher number of quality leads. It's a very interesting dynamic that AI actually changed.
And I think, Sasha, would you say that, that educated client, right, or prospect or, consumer from that side, as you kind of noted, they're using all these different platforms now, right? So, I mean, if you look at it from a standpoint, like they may have seen you on a billboard, right? And that may have planted the idea, but overall they're going, and when they search, they're going to go and search AI, like who's the best attorney in this class, right? For my specific situation. And they're going to ask all those details, as you said. And then once they get the recommendation, they're going to hop over to website or Google reviews and kind of go through it. And I think just going back, that's the hardest part is marketing 20 years ago, because we deal with a lot of attorneys that started their firms 40 years ago, 50 years ago, right? And marketing even 20 years ago, there was just less platforms, right? To some degree, there was less platforms that really the marketing focus. It was more community for a lot of things, everything else. But I think that's the huge importance, just to loop back to letting go. How much can us as lawyers do on our own? And the answer is, if it was just about putting an ad in the yellow pages, you might have been okay with that, right? But today, I think it's really, to your point, it's all these foundational aspects that have to be connected to kind of really make things move, because that is your educated consumer. And if they're not showing up in, an AI search engine, right, to go through that, I mean, that's the break. That may be where everything stops, even though they've got great Google reviews and a good website or anything else. So it's really about pulling all this together, which is, I think, what you and your team work with the clients to do. And I think it's not anymore of like, it's nice to have it, it's a necessary. Like, if you want to scale your marketing, your brand, like, it's a necessary to have the foundation across all these platforms. Would you agree with that?
Somewhat disagree. It's not just for scaling. If you do not want to shrink, just to stay put, you have to have those things in place. Because if you don't, your competitors will take some of that business from you. It's becoming really easy to shrink. Just don't do the things that are necessary to do. It's like your health, right? You can ignore it in your 20s. Can't ignore it in your, like, I'm 47. I can't ignore my health, or else. It's kind of the same thing. Like, ignore your marketing at your own peril.
And like your health, consistency, right? And you probably have seen that. And where we've seen it is, I've done this for a little while. I didn't think it worked, right? I thought it was an expense. I pulled back. And then you go over here and do this. It's like, being good on a diet, and exercise for a while. And then you go off for a while and you're like, man, the health just doesn't change. And that's one of my questions for you is, what have you really seen? Maybe marketing is the plain and simple answer, but for law firm owners that you've just been impressed with, like, what's a trait or what's something they've done that you've really seen has just allowed them to scale their firms significantly over the years of working with them?
So a couple of things. Number one, business acumen. Not going to say marketing. I'm not going to say intake, because business acumen, the more you understand how business operates, the higher the probability that you're going to become a better operator. And as you become a better operator, your business gets better because you, as the leader of your law firm, whatever business you're operating, you're the ceiling, or your people are the ceiling. And if your business acumen is low, the probability that you're going to get really strong operators within your company, within your law firm, like lieutenants who are in charge of your marketing and intake and operations and HR, super low, because you have poor business acumen. So number one trait, amongst those who become very successful, I'm going to say 10 million plus in top line revenue.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the managing partner, no other partners, they make $2.5 million per year or more. Cannot do it on just hard work. Impossible. You have to develop that business acumen or get a partner who has that business acumen. So that's one. Number two, to you may not sound surprising, to many probably, but it's not marketing, it's intake. Like, if you care about your family finances, how dare you not to optimize your intake? It is the easiest lever to pull on to really optimize it. And by the way, this is a very common thing that we hear from our clients, the unconvincible ones. Is like, we call them next day. And like, by the time you call them next day, 3 of your competitors called them before you did the same day. The same
Yep.
day. They don't need to talk to you anymore. Like, next day is already, you don't need to call them at all. But some of them convert, maybe. But most of them don't, because they already talked to two, 3 of your competitors. So this is where like business acumen plays a huge role. Like, better intake makes marketing a lot cheaper per new client. Makes your law firm hum a lot better. Makes your law firm much more desirable if you want to sell it one day. And number 3, after intake, is marketing. Because if your marketing is great, but your intake is really crappy, your marketing team is always going to look bad. Because you give me bad leads, man.
Yep. Yeah, I think that the overall aspect I've always kind of looked at stuff is, you could have the best marketing, and if you never answer the phone, what does it matter? Right? I mean, if you had a non-working phone number, you could have the best marketing out there. You will not get more clients, right? Because if you can't answer the phone, and of course, intake is more than that, but in the right way to really convert those qualified leads. And I think, Sasha, you said it, they're not only more educated, they're motivated. Like, for a lot of them, as those qualified leads, like, they're ready, but they're ready to ask questions. They're ready to commit, and they're ready to commit right now. And so if you're not answering that phone right now, they're ready to commit to next in line, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go and you're like, call a restaurant or anything else, and you're like, hey, are you on a wait? Right? Like, oh no, we can seat you right now if you show up. Absolutely. But if you said, oh, we're on an hour and a half wait, you're like, we're not going there, right? We're not going.
Absolutely. I want to, we both have to go in a minute, but I want to give a quick example that may serve as a wake-up call to some of the people who may be listening to this, watching this, but are still not convinced to work on their intake, like their financial future depends on it. I own a substantial share in a moving company, a large moving company. One of their primary key success factors is speed to lead. Target is we're calling them back within 1 minute. 1 minute. Not next day, not in an hour, 1 minute. And we're going to follow up with them until we get them on the phone. If we don't get them on the phone right away, we're going to text them. We're going to email them, and we'll send them direct mail. And then we'll give them a quote. And after we give them a quote, we're going to follow up with them until they either tell us you're hired or they tell us we hired someone else. Average transaction value is nowhere near $5,000 like it is for most lawyers and most practices. It's $1,900. Their intake is worlds better than, from what I've seen, like 98%. And that's why there are multiple 8-figure moving company, and most law firms are stuck under 3 million. Most moving companies are also tiny. These guys, they just understood the value of marketing and how much cheaper it is to get each customer if your intake works just right with all the follow-up and time to lead. It's a beautiful old machine.
The overall goal is for marketing to really get your brand out there, right? To do that, if they've brought in that qualified lead, they are interested. Your goal is to make sure you can be there and get them committed to, provide the great service that you do, whatever legal area you're in. Sasha, it's great to talk to you because I always feel like it goes well beyond marketing, right? Like, which is your core and everything else of how you help clients. But from your background and just how you really work with those clients, I think the business acumen pieces that you help deliver, anybody that's going to work with you is, of course, going to get much more than just that marketing benefit from it. Yep. Where can listeners find you, Sasha? Where's the best place?
Growlaw.co. We have advisors. We have law firm growth experts. Connect, schedule a meeting. It will be a very, very high ROI on that 1 hour meeting that you'll have with one of my folks. They're really smart people who've done this for years and years. We recently attracted a gentleman, Andy Goldstrom, who was like this close to retirement. He's been advising law firm owners for 10 years. His claim to fame is that on average, his clients grow 8 times, 800% faster than a typical law firm. And when I met him, he was like, I'm 3 years away from retirement. And I'm like, Andy, don't retire. Let's join force. He's a great advisor. He's leading our advisory arm now. And You meet with him or one of his people for an hour, your business acumen will grow. You'll understand your business a lot better than you did the moment before you met him. So, or one of our other people. Grow a lot. That's
Well, Sasha, as always, thanks for the time. I'm definitely learn more beyond marketing, and I love working with you. I think our paths integrate so well in what we try to do and what you're doing out there to build great firms. So thank you for the time. And until next time, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Sasha.
Thanks, Tom. It was great.